Niger's coup leader have ignored the warning, and reports say opposition to a military solution appears to be the growing, not least from within Nigeria and from Mali, which has backed the coup leaders. The military junta has announced a new 21-member government with key posts going to those who led the coup.
Now, the road linking Nalerugu and Waliwali in the northeast region have been cut off due to torrential rains.
Continuous rains in the region on Wednesday caused flooding, washing away parts of the road. The Deputy Minister for Roads and Transport, Mr. Stephen Jalula, has visited the area to assess the destruction.
The Tanguri Gbanli Community Dam, constructed more than 20 years ago, could not contain the floodwaters, making it overflow its banks onto the road. It destroyed the bridge and subsequently divided the road into two. The Northeast Regional Minister, Mr. Yidana Zakaria, said that the situation demands urgent attention.
I believe that given 2 weeks maximum, the road will be motorable. They are also thinking of constructing a belly bridge at the other side of the road to allow for some movement of people and goods. That will give enough time for them to do actual construction work on this side. So what you are seeing is more of a temporal measure. The long-term solution will be to get the bridge well constructed to be able to carry the volumes of water.
The Deputy Minister for Roads and Transport, Mr. Stephen Jalula, who visited the area to assess the extent of damage, said the Vice President, Dr. Mahmoud Baumia, has asked the contractor to construct a steel bridge on the road.
What we are doing to bring relief to the people of Northeast who ply this road is to create a temporal steel bridge that we call Bailey Bridge at the downside of the river, so that they can use while the contractors work on the main road.
When GBC News got to the scene, a construction firm was already at the site working on the bridge.
Now, still on infrastructure, roads within Soviet in the Kpando municipality of the Volta region have become unmotorable due to erosion. The rains have washed most parts of the stretch, making it dangerous to travel, especially at night. Residents are therefore calling on the authorities to reconstruct the road to avert accidents and possible loss of lives.
The highway connects Greater Accra to the northern parts of the country through surveying the Kpando municipality of the Volta region. Gullies have developed on portions of the highway by running water when it rains. The residents say some parts of the road caved in about 2 years ago, and with the onset of the rains, the situation on that section that were intact have worsened. The assemblyman for the area, Mr. Michael Chohe, says there is an urgent need for intervention to avoid a tragedy.
This section of the road caved in 2 years ago. This report was made to the regional office of the Ghana Highways, and also several letters went to the MCE at Kpando Municipal Assembly. But up till now, no work has commenced. The road is eroding gradually, and will not be surprised to have an accident here again. Assembly should be able to at least come and put some caution tape here. So we are pleading to the authorities that are concerned that they should come to our aid.
The people say it is especially dangerous to travel on the road at night, as their lives are at risk.
Heavy rains at Pupusu Trobo in the Nkwanta South municipality has cut the entire town from neighboring communities as residents struggle to go about their normal duties. The rains caused severe flooding of several homes and destroyed property, running into tens of thousands of Ghana cedis. As a result, residents are appealing to government for the reconstruction of a bridge to help solve the perennial flooding, which makes farming difficult.
Anytime it rains, it cuts across all the road, making it unmotorable. It holds all economic activities. So the Lampu Bridge is the major bridge that connects Putupu and Bruniase. This bridge was built some years back. It was facilitated by the late as the Chancellor then, through the help of Kratchit Traditional, Local Council, and Cocoa Buying Board, Cocoa Marketing Board, and commissioned on the 20th February 1969. The bridge has never had any rehabilitation. And anytime it rains, no one can cross the bridge. Therefore, it makes farming very difficult and unwilling to go into farming, especially when you have a lot of losses during the rainy season. The inhabitants of Putupu community are predominantly 90% farmers, peasant farmers. So anytime it rains, no one can cross the stream to the farms. And most of the farms are being flooded, and crops like maize are being carried away by the water. And therefore, it doesn't make appetite for farming, especially the youth. So we are appealing to the government, the Cocoa Board. They should come to our aid, our rules. And looking outside the box, we are appealing for irrigational facilities so that the youth can be enticed to go into farming, especially during the dry season, that we have all these river bodies around. So this is our appeal to the government and authorities, that they should help Putupu community. We are really suffering. Anytime it rains, it is not easy at all.
Now let's come back to Accra. Onion traders at Agyen Kotoku in Accra have expressed their sentiments about the truckloads of onion that are stuck at the Benin border due to its closure. Some of the traders say if the situation is not remedied immediately, consignment owners are likely to incur huge losses because the onions may rot.
It's interesting, but where I'm standing currently is supposed to be a pile of onions. And if you look all the way behind me, what you see in the distance are only jute bags, and those to my far right are not onions, they are ginger, also brought in from outside of Ghana. We wanted to find out how this is affecting traders here at the Agyen Kotoku onion market, because in the last few days they've been in the news calling on the regional minister as well as the foreign minister to come to their aid and speak to their counterparts across the border in Niger to allow their trucks to come in. Yakub, please join me up on this platform. Yakub, how will you say the border closure is affecting your business?
As you come, stand around here or it's occupied by onion. And there's nothing empty. There's no any bag of onions on the market. And
how long has it been since you realized your trucks are unable to come through?
It's getting to 2 weeks. The day they said for the ECOWAS, the following day, they blocked the border. And we have already bagged our onion. And they have Benin, they open it Monday, slowly those near to Benin border. When they go out now, they block again. Now we call to the regional minister of Greater Accra region to inform the government, and they will see the interior or the foreign minister, so that you talk to the Burkina Faso president, and then talk to Benin, so they will open the border, so the cars that we loaded will come in. Maybe if it is next time, we will not do that again. As the cars come, we sell it. When they open the border, we go. If they don't open, then we have to manage it like that.
Cars ni na akabora honum. Tise ewo imti wa e nije ne wa ndi cars ni na ka honum. Ononti ne ha wa hapa na ejin ho. Hwe Palestine na da honum bibie ni. Aban ye woni nsem sidi obeya e cars ne betima ba. Omumbuaye ne cars ne mbra ne te eba ebeboaye pa.
Onions are stuck behind the border in between Benin and Niger. And for those who are fortunate, who can get through, their onions will come. But until the border is open, this is going to be the situation with our onion market, which comes here and are further distributed across the country.
The Ghana Tourism Authority, as part of its 50th anniversary celebration, is encouraging the public to patronize its blood donation exercise slated for tomorrow, August 11th. The Director of Communication of Corporate Affairs at the Ghana Tourism Authority, Mr. Jones Aruna Nelson, made the appeal in an interview with GBC News in Accra.
The Ghana Tourism Authority is an agency under the Ministry of Tourism, Culture and Creative Arts, responsible for the regulation of tourism in Ghana. Established in 1973 as the Ghana Tourist Board, the agency was renamed as the Ghana Tourism Authority in 2011 under Act 817. The Act extended the mandate of the agency to overseeing to the implementation of government policies in the industry. As part of activities lined up towards its 50th anniversary, the Ghana Tourism Authority is partnering the Greater Accra Regional Hospital and the Ghana Football Association to organize a blood donation exercise to support the Greater Accra Regional Hospital. Representatives of partners in the blood donation program spoke to GBC News on the exercise.
I am very excited because, corporate organizations like these are people we want to collaborate with to organize such programs for us, to be able to recruit the voluntary donors who patronize football especially.
The key stakeholders who are supposed to donate this blood are the GFA staff of the RFAs, that is the Regional Football Association, players and coaches and managers of clubs in the region. For now, there's Division 1, Division 2, Premier, Division 3 and coach, those who are eligible to donate.
We decided that as part of the program of activities lined up throughout the year, this month has been couched a month of blood donation. We also have this, we'll have a fun game, we'll have a tour, and then we'll also have a Retirees Association being launched just in August.
The blood donation exercise will take place on August 11 tomorrow at the premises of the Ghana Tourism Authority in Accra. Gifty AJ, GBC News, Accra.
The education front, inadequate teaching and learning materials are hindering studies at the Senior Correctional Center in Accra. Officials and inmates are therefore calling on individuals and organizations to support the center with modern learning materials to improve the situation.
Education is said to be the key to success, but how can one acquire the success with inadequate learning materials? These are the thoughts of some of the inmates at the Juvenile Correctional Center. To them, despite being in custody, all hope is not lost. They are determined to make it with the education system provided by the Ghana Prison Service. But there are challenges which need urgent attention.
I was taught at the Juvenile Center, but it's not that much bad. But I want to become a mechanical engineer, and I'm heading towards it.
Compared to other schools, it's good, but there are inadequate textbooks. I want to become a doctor and great scientist.
Conveying the inmates from home, which is the center, to the nearby school is also a problem.
We have raised boys from our center, from JHS, SHS, who are in the universities now. So I also want to use this opportunity to plead to the public that we need a transport, a bus that can convey the SHS boys who go to school every day and back.
Technology is gradually taking over the world, and although information communication technology is compulsory to all children of school-going age, the inmates are lagging behind due to inadequate computers. The officer in charge of the Senior Correctional Center, Deputy Director of Prisons, Millicent Owusu, says supporting the center will help the inmates improve upon their studies.
They lack modern or equipment or materials to learn to write the examination. Especially, I always talk about ICT. Somebody is coming to write exams on ICT, but it may interest you to know that they don't really have a computer to even know this is the mouse, this is the keyboard. But we are trying our best. As I'm talking, the boys are all writing ICT with the students outside our jurisdiction, students who are not in custody, but they don't have a feel of what a computer is. So we normally solicit for funds. The service is trying its best to be able to get everything that they will need.
Formal education was introduced to the juveniles at the Senior Correction Center with the aim of facilitating their smooth reintegration into society upon their discharge. In 2009, the first batch of inmates made up of 21 juvenile and young offenders sat for the Basic Education Certificate Examination, BECE. The center has since scored 100%. This year, a total of 51 inmates sat for the 2023 BECE.
Huawei.
Welcome back, and we have more stories on the local front. A lack of adequate financing and infrastructure is a major barrier to quality teaching and learning, especially at the basic level of education.
Top on the agenda for discussion at the forum organized by the Campaign Against Privatization and Commercialization of Education was how making financing key in implementing responsive infrastructure plan in education.
Is cited as the key to success. Poor financing and inadequate resources are major impediments. Figures show that between 2008 and 2020, the basic education share of education sector expenditure reduced from 55.7% to 40%. In 2020, out of an education sector budgetary allocation of 17.7 billion Ghana cedis, only 22% was allocated to basic education compared to 32% in 2016. A report by the Ghana Statistical Service in 2022 also revealed that over 1.2 million children between the ages of 4 to 18 years have never been enrolled in any school. The head of programs at the Ghana National Campaign Coalition, Mr. Festus Longmate, said every child is entitled to quality basic education in the country.
Basic education is supposed to be compulsory for every child in this country, and as a result, we have to ensure that every child gets access to free, quality and enjoyable basic education. Let me say here that as a coalition, that has been our focus over the years. And we are there to also complement the effort of government in providing quality education for the children of this country. So everything we do in terms of our advocacy is geared towards complementing government effort in providing quality education for this country. Let me also say here that it is extended to the pre-tertiary level.
The convener of the campaign against privatization and commercialization of education, CAPCO, Mr. Richard Cote, said over 5,000 public basic schools operate under trees and in dilapidated structures.
Currently, one of the key issues affecting the slow growth of education infrastructure is the capping of the GET fund. If for nothing at all, that fund was created to cater for education infrastructure. I'm talking about classroom block, teaching and learning resources, and teacher motivation, and those things that will make the teaching and learning process go on smoothly. But then the fund has been capped at 75%. And if you look at the 2022 accruals, you're talking about 4.8 billion. And then government made allocation of 1.8 billion. It was recently when Parliamentary Select Committee made them, and then they had to argue that they added something small to it. So if you look at that, it means that with 3 billion, as of 2021, it could have removed the 5,000 schools we are talking about under trees. But if it is capped, what it means is that the government cannot produce, and look at the budgetary allocation for CAPEX, that's capital expenditure, it means that we'll be doing 4 schools a year. And 4 schools a year means that it will take us the next 20, 30 years before we can build all these schools. What happened to those citizens?
A study conducted by the Campaign Against Privatization and Commercialization of Education showed that about 14,700 children drop out of primary and JHS annually, and on a daily basis, 30 pupils drop out of school across the country.
Hello, good evening. Welcome to Business, brought to you by MTN. MTN is everywhere you go. Now, the Bank of Ghana has been giving reasons why Governor Dr. Ernest Addison and his deputies must not resign their post as demanded by the minority. A statement issued by the bank explained that 53.1 billion of the losses made in 2022 were a direct result of the government's domestic debt exchange program. The Apex Bank added that despite the huge losses, the outcome has very little implications on the operations of the Bank of Ghana. The statement further added that technically, central banks around the world cannot be insolvent or go bankrupt. Statement issued by the central bank revealed that the country's financial complications started in 2019. According to the statement, there was a clear mismatch between revenue inflows and expenditure, financed in 2020 by exceptional support from the IMF and World Bank resources, and in addition to financing from the Bank of Ghana through the issuance of the 10 billion cedi COVID-19 bond. As a result, sovereign spread on Ghana bonds widened, signaling investor dissatisfaction with the stance of fiscal policy. The budget for 2022, which was read in 2021, failed to address fiscal concerns, as the budget was even more expansionary by about 23%, with a raft of revenue measures to raise financing. As a result, the credit rating agencies further downgraded Ghana's sovereign debt rating, which blocked Ghana's access to international capital market borrowing. This triggered a liquidity crisis, spilling over into a balance of payment crisis. External and domestic payments needed to be made. The domestic auction was failing, and the Bank of Ghana had to step in to arrest a major economic and social crisis. In 2 months, the Bank of Ghana lost $500 million in reserves and built significant overdraft with the government as a result of the auction failures. It became clear that Ghana was on a path that was unsustainable, and the government had to approach the IMF for support in July 2022. The IMF processes, including putting into place a credible program of reform, which included restructuring of the total government debt to sustainable levels. Until staff-level agreement with the IMF was reached in December 2022, the Bank of Ghana had to continue to provide necessary support to keep the economy running. Away from the Bank of Ghana, in 2022, total trade between the United States and Ghana hit an all-time high of $3.7 billion, with Ghana having a $1.8 billion trade surplus that same year to boost bilateral trade relationship between Ghana and the U.S., a Ghana Trade and Investment Forum has been held in Accra.
Ghana is the United States' third largest export market in sub-Saharan Africa, behind South Africa and Nigeria. Currently, over 100 U.S. companies and brands operate in the Ghanaian market. In 2022, Ghana generated a revenue of $2.4 billion from the tourism industry, of which Americans accounted for the largest number of international visitors. At the U.S.-Ghana Business Expo, the U.S. ambassador to Ghana, Madam Virginia Palmer, said the delegation's visit builds on the momentum from the U.S. Vice President's historic visit to Ghana in March, during which she supported Ghana's creative industry and women entrepreneurs.
We already have concrete examples of how the American diaspora-led companies can succeed in Ghana. For example, Overland Tanberg and its local partner TechGulf launched a major call center in Ghana in December, and that was exciting because it employs 200 young college graduates and soon to be hundreds more, we expect.
The Undersecretary at the U.S. Department of Commerce is Marisa Lago.
The companies on this GDEI trade mission range from information and communications technology, trade services, cybersecurity, energy, automotives, consumer goods. All of these sectors present great potential.
The Minister for Trade and Industry, Mr. Katie Hammond, said investing in Africa has been made more attractive by the operationalization of the African Continental Free Trade Area.
The government of Ghana has, in collaboration with the industry experts, formulated a garment and textiles manufacturing policy and the incentive framework to attract and facilitate targeted investment into the industry.
In the area of foreign direct investments, Ghana received $1.5 billion in FDIs from all sources, out of which $121 million was received from the United States to Ghana.
Also in business, the Institute of Statistical, Economic and Social Research wants government to expedite action on the establishment of a national airline. According to Director of the Institute, Professor Peter Korte, a national carrier will boost tourism while cutting the stress that comes with traveling to and from African countries.
So with a national carrier, when it's flying around, the name is just on it. It attracts people. You're able to have direct flights from several countries. So that brings in tourists. But it's not just the carrier. You should also have tourist sites that you market on the national carrier. If you fly Ethiopian Airways, for instance, you see they have a whole documentary on Ethiopia. They have about 10 major sites that you should see. If we have a national carrier, we could do same. We market our products, market our country, market our sites, and people will certainly fly in knowing that there's a direct flight. At the moment, if you want to fly from Ghana to some African country, you have to go to Netherlands or Belgium and then fly back. It's quite difficult.
Enter Bank Forex market and bring you updates on how the cedi is performing against major trading currencies.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to the Energy segment. My name is Dominic Noji. The Director of Nuclear Power Ghana, NPG, Dr. Stephen Yamwa, says Ghana's target to have its first nuclear power plant by 2030 will depend on how swift the government concludes the Phase 2 requirements. He said the country delayed in completing Phase 1, which was expected to be done in 2017 but was finalized in 2019. Dr. Yamwa said currently the vendor engagements are being fast-tracked to avoid delay.
Ghana's nuclear power program is expected to take shape with the selection of a vendor or partner and technology by the end of the year. Ghana considered adding nuclear power to its energy mix in the long term. The Ghana Nuclear Power Program Organization is mandated to spearhead the development of this energy option. The country plans to install her first nuclear power plant by 2030 to diversify its energy mix with cheaper and more sustainable electricity production, according to the nation's nuclear regulator. Speaking with the media in Accra, Dr. Stephen Yamwa disclosed that there were 2 engagements with the vendors who visited the preferred sites to have an appreciation of the terrain.
The construction phase alone, we've taken about 6 years, and so far I think it is UAE that has been able to do it in 6 years, as a newcomer country, as a foreign country. I think China did a project in China in 5 years or 5.5 years, but doing a project in a foreign country, I think the shortest that has been done for large reactor is 6 years. The SMRs has a shorter time of construction, about 3 years or so, but it all depends on which direction the country go for the first power plant.
A fellow from the Belgium Nuclear Research, Dr. Tanjan Perko, explains why Germany is decommissioning their nuclear power plant.
Now, with the huge, bigger needs for of course, then Fukushima happened, when it was immediately end of the Renaissance. And the countries, like for instance Germany, some of them decided to step out to close down the nuclear energy program. For instance, after Chernobyl, Italy, they decided because they had really consequences from Chernobyl, which happened in Ukraine, but the cloud came to Italy, and Italy was contaminated also.
Director of Nuclear Installations, Dr. Emmanuel Mpoma-Mwakun, said the Nuclear Regulatory Authority is on course to work out the mechanisms for the establishment of a decommissioning fund.
Some communities in Walewale, Gambaga, and Nalerugu in the northeast region have been plunged into darkness as a result of torrential rainfall yesterday. The rain flooded the communities, submerging some equipment of the Northern Electricity Distribution Company, NEDCO. The recent rainfall has rendered the main access route to the problem spots impassable, therefore affecting efforts to fix the fault. Area manager of Northeast region of NEDCO, Mr. Eugene Addo, tells Energy News that though power has been restored to some of the areas, other areas have been isolated.
Having a lot of challenges in the northeast part of our operational area. That is Nalerugu, Gambaga, and surrounding community. There was some heavy downpour, and it has caused some flooding in most of those areas. As I speak now, the main road between Walewale and Gambaga is severely damaged such that no vehicle can traverse that road. And we are having difficulty in accessing some of the communities that are currently off. What happened was that usually when we receive such information, we quickly run to isolate the line. We will do some quick assessment about how safe it is to operate the line. If it is safe, then we will restore. Otherwise, we will let them be in darkness until we work on it. Well, in some parts of our network, our equipment has been submerged. We have areas where the flooding has submerged our transformers, and we have isolated those areas. Sometimes some places have poles broken, and it means that we have to isolate the line and get those poles replaced. And because we have problems with accessibility, it is hindering the process. Not all of them are off. We have isolated the outages, forced outages due to the situation. Until we are able to analyze the situation and move in with proper equipment, we may not be able to retrieve them now. So we wait So the flooding goes down a bit, and then we'll assess the situation before we try to do any further works.
Now to electricity generation. Total national power generation was 60.6704 gigawatt hours within the last 24 hours. Here are some key national statistics on electricity generation within the last 24 hours. That's it for the segment. My name is Dominic Onoji.
Welcome to the health segment brought to you by Kind Curtis Tubin, co-producers of Low Fat. Babies with clubfoot in the Ashanti region have been given the hope of walking normally as any other child following the provision of free treatment by the Christian Health Association of Ghana and Hope Walks. In addition to this free service, physiotherapists at the Komfo Teaching Hospital in Kumasi have also had their competencies and professional skills enhanced through theoretical and hands-on training on diagnosis and treatment of clubfoot.
Clubfoot is a congenital disease detected among babies at birth with no confirmed scientific causes. Babies with clubfoot are born with one or both feet twisted inwards and downwards. Over 200,000 babies across the globe are born with clubfoot annually. In Ghana, about 1,000 babies are born annually with this deformity. These statistics make clubfoot one of the most congenital disabilities in the world. The good news, however, is clubfoot is treatable. The medical director of Ghana Clubfoot Program is Dr. Prosper Mo.
For the first time the child is born, the treatment can start even within a week. And then within a week, as the child is born with a clubfoot, when you come to the center, the treatment will start it. And when the child's foot is corrected completely, the foot will look normal after 5 or 6 POP casts. And we have to maintain the foot corrected until the child is fully grown, up to the age of 5 years.
A recent study has revealed that a considerable number of people are living with this deformity due to several reasons, including inaccessibility to or high cost of treatment. It is against this background that the Christian Health Association of Ghana, CHAG, in partnership with Hope Walk, a US-based charity non-governmental organization, has provided free treatment to children with that condition free of charge. The 2-day charity exercise carried out at the Komfo Teaching Hospital in Kumasi was available to children aged day 1 to 3 years regardless of place of residence in Ghana. The program's manager of CHAG, Nanefwe Ajete, explained that the exercise aimed to give hope to both the affected babies and their parents for the future, and entreated parents with babies with the congenital condition to seek health care as early as possible when they detect the condition after birth.
It's not their fault for them to have children with clubfoot. So when they see something like this, they should quickly come to our facilities for free treatment. We are here for them. We want to put that smile on their faces.
Two of the beneficiary mothers, Sandra Jewa and Victoria Jakun, shared their experiences and excitement about the free health care. To ensure that more babies with clubfoot in the country receive the required expert treatment, CHAG has also built the professional competences and skills of staff of the orthopedic department of the Komfo Teaching Hospital. In a 2019 study by the researchers Richard Lane and David Becker at the Ulster Institute, a think tank, says the highest IQ scores in the world belong to the Japanese, with citizens of Taiwan and Singapore close behind. Out of 199 countries in the world, in this research, Ghana is ranked 190. Niger, Benin, Togo, and Mali are ahead of Ghana on the IQ rating. Though these researchers' findings tend to speak considerably debate, some believe there is some truth in it. IQ, or intelligence quotient, is a measure of human intelligence. It is believed that the higher one's IQ score, the more intelligent that person is. But the former chief executive of Ghana's Mental Health Authority, Dr. Akwesio, says a person's IQ is more than the intelligence one is born with.
Put an interpretation to it to mean that it shows Ghanaians are not intelligent, but that is not so. IQ does not necessarily measure native native intelligence.
Professor Akwesio believes one's IQ is measured using specific domains. These include visual spatial, that is, how one perceives the space he or she is found, verbal comprehension, that is, one's level of understanding, and how fluid one is in reasoning, as well as one's cognitive functions or abilities. Therefore, for one's IQ to be accurately measured, the certain, otherwise referred to as norms, must be established. It also depends on the ability of the person whose IQ is being measured to form concepts or mental notes of what is required of them.
We are taught in a second language, a language that we are not used to, and we have not been able to build the concepts right from the very beginning. So when you come to using the concepts to show some other reality, then we are found wanting. The cure of it is that we must, once we have agreed that we are using English as a language, official language, if we can't change it, then we must teach our children right from the very beginning to build the concepts so that the concepts become part of their second nature. And they don't have to think.
Professor Sey provides the linkage between dreams and one's predominantly spoken language.
The language you dream in is a language that is a second nature to you, that you are so familiar with it, that it flows naturally. But if you dream and you don't dream in English, and you are always dreaming in Twi, which is fine, but what it means is that you have not been able to acquire the English language sufficiently. So when it comes to concept formation, you find your concepts in vernacular and then translate into English, and then you are found wanted.
He said children learn language through assimilation, which refers to the integration of people, ideas, or culture into a wider society or culture. And this is a familiar thing with African French-speaking countries.
With the French-speaking countries, they learn French through assimilation. So right from the very beginning, they form the concepts in the language. So if you go to, let's say, the market, the open market in Ajamo or a French-speaking country, Togo, whatever, The average person in the market speaks French, even if Creole French, some form of French. Because right from the very beginning, he or she was taught in that language and he or she assimilated it from the very beginning.
He suggested educational reforms to intensively build on the language of children.
Adult Ghanaians who go to Russia, Germany, China, Japan to learn, they are given 1 full year intensive exposure in the language. That gives them the concept formation right from the very beginning. Then they can reason in that language formally as a first step, rather than reason in English and then translate. So if we are going to do it this way, then that is what we need to do so that we can build our language very intensely. So the intensity of it, not so much the duration, but the intensity. So frankly, I would recommend that for our first 3 years of education, very intensive exposure to the official language you'll use and our local language.
He firmly believes that it is high time European norms are no longer used to measure our IQ.
The segment was brought to you by kind courtesy to Binko, producers of Low Fats.